Hello, everybody. My name is Ben, and this is Stories About Kevin. Our first story is from Maroon Grad. The culprits were never identified, but around 1995, I was in a dorm at Drury College in Missouri. It had a lot of people who were on the wealthy side, and the rest were almost all there on academic scholarships. We can assume these people, rumor has it there were two, were one of the first kind or one of the second kind that is brilliant with zero common sense. My dorm was 3 stories with a big basement and laundry facilities in the basement. Each floor had a central room with cinder block walls, a concrete floor, fire sprinklers, a metal counter with a sink in it, and a microwave nearby. It also contained the big trash cans, metal with lids. This was where you went to microwave your bag of popcorn, throw away the empty bag, and then wash your hands in whatever you'd cooked ramen in earlier. It was idiot-proof, even had a fire extinguisher on the wall. They were prepared for all sorts of drunk college shenanigans with a microwave, or so we all thought. One night we were all yet again rousted out of bed for a fire alarm, but this time there really was a fire. Someone had wet towels and didn't want to go downstairs to dry them. Maybe they were just short quarters and didn't want to borrow two. Maybe they were just in a hurry, so they microwaved the towels. This worked until the towels began smoking. Now, college students do dumb stuff. It's part of being young, but there was a metal sink right there. Did they drop the towels in it and turn on the water? Nope, floor is concrete. Did they drop the towels there? If you guess nope, I have a prize for you. That would have just resulted in a little smoke and a scorch mark on the floor where they pulled out and dropped the smoldering towels on the concrete. But no, these young geniuses went way above and beyond on deciding what to do with their smoking towels. They threw them out into the hallway. The carpeted hallway, surrounded by sleeping students. Apparently, as the towels spread out, the air reached the smoldering parts and the cotton started burning really well. Lots of smoke, and there goes the alarm. Cue some panic as they open the doors to actual smoke. Good news is that the source of the fire was really obvious to the girls on that floor and actual panic was limited. Thankfully, the dorm evacuated. Someone other than Kevina the towel bandit put out the fire, and we eventually got to return. We could smell the burnt carpet in the entire building for days. No one ever admitted to being the Kevina who chose a carpeted hallway over a big metal sink in a fireproof room after they microwaved their wet towels into a smoldering ruin. I was told it was 2 girls. Apparently, Kevina and Kevina had only one brain cell between them, and they'd left it in the microwave. Wow. Sometimes you just gotta laugh. We have a similar story in the comments from Mallard Guy 5675322. I had picked up a package of cheese spiral, a kind of Greek cheese pie, and it said bake in the oven for 30 minutes. You see, my oven and microwave were on top of each other, and they corresponded with each other. The microwave had multiple settings, but the 2 important ones are time entry and timer. So I go ahead and preheat the oven to 480 and put the spiral in there in a baking tray. I set the time to 30 minutes and went about my day. About 25 minutes later, I was upstairs doing homework when I smelled something horrible, the smell of burnt plastic. And yet it didn't come up with the scent of char that would come from an actual fire. I went outside my room and instantly scrunched up. The smell of burnt plastic was everywhere in my house. Technically my parents' house, as the place is close enough to my college that I don't need to rent. Is 2 stories tall. Medium-sized house, but not too large. I go downstairs and there's a nasty smelling steam in the room. It is so bad that I had to go grab my dad's paint spraying mask to even think of continuing. I opened our sliding door and all the windows just to rid the house of the smell. Then my blood went cold as I figured out what was happening. The microwave was on. Instead of setting a timer, I had turned on the microwave for 30 minutes. When I opened the infernal thing, a rush of steam flew out, going everywhere. After the fact, it turned out that the burned plastic smell and the steam had come from the microwave door. I had cooked the plastic rim on that door to a melted perfection. Fortunately, the smell in the house disappeared after just a few hours, but the microwave continued to stink for 6 months after the incident. No, I don't have cancer, thanks for asking. And the cherry on top, my spiral got burned because I didn't want to irradiate my food. Our next story is by Ray0505. This is one of many stories about my upstairs neighbor, Kevin. Frankly, I have no idea how he has not been evicted yet, but his parents are very rich and pretty influential in our little town, so I think that explains it. This is further supported by him never leaving for work and spending most of his time making my life just a little bit more interesting. I also want to say that he is the sweetest person ever, just a giant Kevin. This particular story starts with me coming home from work and I wanted to cook some dinner. Everything was going well until I suddenly got drenched in water pouring down from my ceiling. I looked up and there was a hole in my ceiling. I rushed upstairs and banged at Kevin's door. He opened it, confused. After a brief talk, I found out that he was trying to repair his sink that was misbehaving, but he managed to break it even more, flooding his apartment. Not to worry, he managed to stop the leakage and had a great idea on how to fix the flood. He drilled a hole through his floor to drain the water. He was very apologetic, and offered me some baked chicken as an apology. Before I could say anything, he rushed to the kitchen. He returned after a minute, saying that he burnt the chicken completely. Then he offered me some eggs. Needless to say, I refused. As you can see, no day with him as a neighbor is a boring day. This is maybe the third stupidest thing that he has done, but if he left, I would kind of miss him. Yeah, sounds like an interesting neighbor. I don't know if I would be so patient with him, I would say, but there's a lot of people that have more patience than I do. So our next story is by Craftsman Tracks. I have 2 short stories and a quick disclaimer about my supervisor. Quite some time ago, we were getting a new team manager. Let's call him Kevin from now on. Based off of Kevin's resume, you would assume he was well educated. However, that wasn't the first thing that would creep into your mind when seeing or listening to him. At first, he appeared to be a nice guy, maybe not that intelligent, but willing to learn. Story number 1. To welcome Kevin to his new team, we set up a meeting. Just a team breakfast as a sort of team building thing. The meeting went pretty well, and afterwards we had some time left. We asked questions and casually chatted while cleaning up the plates. A little about myself before we continue. At this time, I was in my late 20s, a little overweight, bald, by choice, and I had the most manly full/long beard that you can imagine. The conversation went as follows. Kevin, did you have that beard for religious reasons or just because it's in fashion? Me, no, I just like having a nice beard. Kevin, oh, thank goodness. I thought you were some sort of Taliban or something. Nowadays, you can't be sure who wants to stab you or bomb you. Wow. Everyone noticed this. Even the team managers of other departments looked over in disbelief of what they had heard. Kevin just shrugged it off and left the room. One of the other team managers took me aside after and asked me if Kevin was intellectually disabled. He advised me to report the situation to our department manager and assured me of his full support as he had seen and heard the whole thing. And boy, I did. Nothing happened at that time because Kevin apologized to me. Story number 2. One day there was a company event and some posters made to advertise it. Kevin entered the company post office, the place where I worked at that time, and looked around for a place where he could hang up one of the posters. Finally, he found a spot. Kevin chose a door, which wasn't as dumb as you might think. If hung correctly, you could see it from the inside when the door was open and from the outside when it was closed. However, the way Kevin tried to execute it was extremely amusing. Instead of taking some tape to stick it to the door, he chose to take some magnets off the whiteboard in the room and tried to pin the poster on the door that way. Once you know it, the magnets didn't hold. Me, Kevin, the freaking door is made out of wood. Magnets don't stick to that. Oh crap. Kevin tossed the poster aside and angrily stomped out. People nearby wondered what happened. After I told them, they laughed their butts off, with Kevin earning the nickname Kevin Magneto. There were many more stupid occasions where Kevin embarrassed himself, his team, and the company in front of the world and our customers. One day, enough was enough and he was fired on the spot. After that, he was escorted out of the building so he couldn't do any more damage to the company's reputation. Our next story is by Scourge of the Rooster. This tale is about a dear friend who also happens to be the biggest Kevin I know. His ability to be so unaware about anything is somehow hilarious and sad at the same time. I will list his greatest Kevin moments that I have so far been subjected to. Can you make houses without electricity? He thought before electricity, people lived in caves and tents. This also extended to anything house-related: doors, windows, metal, roofs, lighting of any kind. Number 2, he drank 3 liters of eggnog at work. He stared at me in the eye as he drank the first one. He was violently ill later that day, putting both employee bathrooms out of order. Oh my gosh. He drank multiple energy drinks despite having heart problems. He was then unaware as to why his chest hurt later. Number 4, he didn't know he needed car insurance. He has a driver's license. He had a mental breakdown. Number 5, he added 1 cup of salt to a homemade hot chocolate recipe. The recipe called for a cup of sugar and a pinch of salt. Number 6, he thought the provinces of Manitoba and Quebec were in the US. We are Canadian. Number 7, he thought that a small town that he had driven through multiple times was also in the US. Number 8, he ate enough food to feed a family, then got violently ill. Number 9, we had to explain the Holocaust to him, and World War I, and World War II. Number 10, he also thought that getting your gallbladder removed also removed the need to go to the bathroom. Number 11, he has willingly eaten raw chicken several times. He has also stated, I like my chicken medium rare. Number 12, how did you hear me? He said out loud into his microphone. I responded with, I have ears, you know. In his defense, he was high that night. And finally, number 13, he adds ketchup to ice cream. That is absolutely disgusting. That is a crime against humanity, and I never want to hear anything about that again. Thank you very much. Our next story is by Jupiter212. I work as an assistant manager at a gas station. One day, my boss, we'll call him Joe, told me that we have a new employee coming in the next day, and I am to train him on how to do all the tasks we have to do daily. Great, we need more people. The next day, I meet him, Creepy Kevin, a greasy-looking 19-year-old in desperate need of deodorant and a haircut. His dirty hair stuck straight out a good 2 inches from his scalp, and he had a patchy, unkempt beard that he seemed absurdly proud of. Well, appearances aren't everything, though they're pretty major in a customer-facing job, so I ignored the physical appearance and started training. First, how to log on to and open your register. Log in with your employee number and password. Kevin does so. I show him where the button to open the till is and ask him to count the money in the drawer, showing him my count-on sheet for my register for reference. Kevin begins counting. I take care of a couple customers and then return to Kevin. Done, he says proudly, shoving the count-on sheet under my nose. Nice, let's check it out, I reply, looking at his sheet. Wait, he has $32 in quarters, $19 in nickels, $7 in $5 bills? Something's literally not adding up. I look into Kevin's drawer. Looks like the usual amount we start with. I ask Kevin how he came up with $32 in quarters. He said, what? No, there's 32 quarters, and 19 nickels and 7 $5 bills. He had thought that I wanted him to count pieces of money. His words, not mine. After a mental facepalm, I correct his count and we move on. Upon telling Joe this story, Kevin earned the nickname Kevin the Pirate, counting his gold pieces. Arrgh. We never called him that to his face, though. Kevin couldn't even make coffee. I showed him how, showed him where to put the filter, where to put the coffee, everything. Kevin prepped it after I showed him, but a customer came in and I had to leave Kevin alone for a minute. I returned to find 5 filters in one coffee machine, 2 in another, 3 in the next. I asked him why it was like that, and he said he knew I said 1 filter, but he didn't think it would matter. Why would I say 1 filter if it didn't matter? Kevin's real first customer service blunder happened the same week. I was not present for this one. A visibly pregnant woman came into the gas station to buy cigarettes. Kevin refused to sell them. Customer shows her ID. Kevin still refuses. When the customer asks why, Kevin said it was illegal to sell cigarettes to pregnant women. It is most definitely not illegal to sell cigarettes to pregnant women. It's frowned upon for pregnant women to smoke, but we cannot refuse a perfectly legal sale. Kevin was also a creep. He liked to talk about anime, which is fine. I enjoy a few anime myself. He mentioned watching anime with his girlfriend and eventually also told me how old his girlfriend was. 14. As I said, Kevin was 19. Creepy. Kevin did not make it to a month of employment. And I do not blame you guys for firing him because if you're not willing to be trained, if you're too stupid to do the job, why would we keep you? For real. Our next story is by Fluffer the Fluffy. My mother usually hides her Kevin side pretty well since he's obsessed with seeming normal, but here are a few stories that showcase it. Number 1. A few years ago, when I was in 8th grade, my mother was on the phone with my aunt. My mother complained that our pediatrician said that head lice grow immune to treatments over time, which is why the formula keeps changing. How can they become immune? There's no such thing as 100-year-old lice. She didn't want to listen when I tried to explain. Number 2. She used a program to do taxes on my laptop. I heard her rage that the tax program kept assuming that she was the father of her children when she filled out the family info section. I asked if there was a gender selection option she missed. My mother said no. I go back to the personal info tab. You could select between Herr and Frau. Mr. or Mrs. It's a German program. Above the boxes for your name. I asked why she didn't select one. She said that Elisa, name changed, is obviously a female name, so she didn't think she needed to select an option. I literally said the program can't know that, but she didn't get it. Once I selected the Frau option, the program adjusted the text to her being the mother instead of the father. She doesn't understand assembly instructions for any kind of furniture. I even had to explain a very simple 4-step guide for a couch that had good pictures and all parts had assigned letters. Once I showed her a photo of my cat's new cat tree and she was impressed. You were able to assemble it on your own? I could never. My cousin has blue eyes, but her parents don't. There's definitely recessive blue in both families. My mother said she got it from her other aunt. That was r/stories from Kevin. If you like this video, please leave a like. Leave a comment with whatever subreddits you want me to cover next time. Peace.